covering the world of professional wrestling from post to post. A show for the Busted Open Nation. This is the Nation's Corner. Here are your hosts, HiJacker Mike, Debhausen, and Tony Justice.
Nation, what's happening? How you doing today for this Saturday, 7/24/21? Welcome to this edition of the Nation's Corner, where you get your weekly recap and preview of pro wrestling. What's going on in the Busted Open Nation everyday life. I am your West Coast boy, HiJacker Mike. Let me introduce my folks that will be hosting with me tonight. First off, we have all the way out in the Keystone State of Pennsylvania. That's so debonair. Debhausen, what's going on, sis? How you doing today?
Oh, what's up? What's up? I'm doing great today. I'm off tomorrow, so I'm going to relax and have fun. And then I have 4 days of work. And then I have a little mini vacation next weekend. So it's going to be awesome.
Ah, that sounds good. Sounds good. Next up is a guy who, before you know it, is in and out of your state before you get to sleep and wake up. The greatest truck driver on the road, Tony Justice. Brother, what's up? How are things going for you today?
Oh, man, everything's awesome. Everything is hunky-dory. Doing great over here in Nebraska. So ready to get into this show and get talking some pro wrestling.
All right. Sounds good. Sounds good. So I guess you guys are ready to talk about wrestling from the past week, huh?
Absolutely.
Yes,
Let's go.
Let's go.
All right, let's go. Let's go. All right, so we are first going to preview or review Slammiversary, Impact Slammiversary from this past Saturday, which, in my honest opinion, had me blown away. Real quick around the table, Deb, what are your thoughts of just the overall show of Slammiversary before we go in and touch up about what happened and some of our favorite moments?
Slammiversary was a great show. I don't watch Impact as often as I should. I only, pretty much got into it within the last year and only started watching it because of Good Brothers. And, but it was a great show. They deliver on their pay-per-views. They really do. And I remember last year, what I can remember of it, last year's Slammiversary was really good as well. So they definitely delivered once again.
Gotcha. Tony, how about yourself, my man? What are your thoughts from this past weekend Slammiversary?
Man, Slammiversary was very impressive. Got to watch it later because I was having signal problems that night, so I got to watch it later. But it was an amazing show from what I've seen. Everyone stepped up, and it was definitely awesome to have the crowds back for Impact. It definitely added to the great show, and I'm sure we'll get into the things that happened during the show, but it was just overall an amazing show.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Now, should we go into first a couple of the matches, or should we go into some of the surprise guests of the night?
Let's go right to surprises.
Yes,
surprises?
Everyone loves surprises. Everyone loves
surprises.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Well, as you guys know, a few people made their appearance and debuts on Slammiversary for Impact. First is one of our favorites and guest many times of the show, Thunder Rosa.
Yes.
Deb, what are your thoughts about this?
I popped so big because I really had no idea who Deonna Purrazzo's opponent was going to be. They were teasing a few different people, but I think Thunder was probably the least one that I expected. And I was shocked. I think I probably screamed and jumped out of my chair. It was just awesome.
Oh, yeah. For me, it was great seeing her because we've had her on the show, and she is overall a great person. I got to meet her, like I said, probably 1,000 times to everybody at BTW out here with me, getting to know her before she became a hot commodity, and now to see her on the grand stage she is. And in Impact, she's all over the place. Mission Pro, Impact, and we'll be talking about where she is now. Tony, your thoughts?
Oh, it was awesome seeing her come out to that pop. Thunder Rosa is definitely a hot commodity going on in the pro wrestling industry right now. Not just a woman wrestler, but overall great wrestler. And she's just hot. She brings attention to it. And it was definitely good to see her. And I want to be the first to congratulate her on her new AEW contract. She's all elite now, and can't wait to see what's in store for us. Seeing her in AEW, she's already been in AEW, doing things on Dark and Dynamite, but now we're going to be seeing a lot more of her in AEW, and she deserves every good thing she's getting right now. And props to Thunder for everything you've got, the success you have, and all eyes will be on AEW, and all eyes are on Mission Pro as well. And speaking of Mission Pro, they've got that show coming up in Conroe, Texas, at Southern Star Brewery, July 31st. So get your tickets now at missionprowrestling.net.
Definitely.
There you go.
Definitely. There it is. And another surprise from that night was a guy we haven't seen in a while. Now, I don't know if he's going by the same name he did in his previous company, but No Way Jose. It was exciting to see him. I was a big fan of his in WWE. Now, I'm glad to see him back. I know his character is very similar, and I know there's got to be some slight changes, because of company to company and whatnot. But I was excited to see him, and I hope he does big things in Impact as well. Tony, do you have any thoughts for No Way Jose?
No Way Jose is definitely one of those wrestlers that can actually step up, everyone around him and cause everyone to be a better performer. He had his, of course, he had his career in WWE, and he was good there for what they gave him. I'm anxious to see what he can do with another promotion with Impact. We'll just see what happens.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree. It was good to see him. It was good to see him back, and we really hadn't heard from him in a while, so it was a total surprise to see him come out.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. It was great to see him. I'm glad he's back in the spotlight for wrestling because, when you get released from one company, you hope to get picked up and continue your craft and move on. Mm-hmm. The next, Chelsea Green. What do you guys think there? I don't know much about her. I haven't really got a chance to watch much of her work, but I do know she can go in the ring. If you guys have any opinions on her, Tony, do you have any thoughts and opinions on Green?
Oh, Chelsea Green, yeah, she's definitely a good woman performer that will definitely help the women in Impact step their game up. It was awesome to see her on Slammiversary teaming with her significant other, Matt Cardona.
Fiance.
Fiance, well, significant other can mean a lot of things.
Yeah.
But it was definitely good to see them. Definitely good to see them together.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Deb, you have any thoughts or opinion about Green?
Yes, I really like the hot mess thing she does with the two-faced half and half. I really like it. She is just fantastic. I'm excited to see kind of what she can show on her own without the restraints.
Yes. Now we'll get into probably, besides Thunder, the biggest surprise of the night, Switchblade Jay White. Who marked out for this? I imagine Tony over there like a 10-year-old school child just screaming in a candy store. Is that true, Tony? See? Told you. Tony is a leader of the Bullet Club.
I did.
But it wasn't nearly as big as when you screamed when Sting came back.
Oh, yeah.
How about yourself, Deb?
Hands down. I mean.
So I definitely marked out. It was a complete shocker. I don't think any of us expected that. I don't get to watch New Japan, so the only thing I've really seen of him is what I seek out on YouTube and little clips here and there. But it's definitely amazing to see kind of some of the members of the Bullet Club reuniting across companies and kind of seeing where this goes.
Definitely. And then the last which Trenda brought up and brought back to my attention, was Mickie James. What about her appearance and impact? She can go. And when they threw the trash bag situation in the middle of their promo, that had me rolling because I can only imagine what she went through when a great company like WWE just throws your stuff in a bag and just says, here you go. So it's good to see her back in Impact. And just like Green, she will help step up that women's division and continue some great matches in her career there.
Yes.
Tony, any thoughts on Mickie real quick before we roll on?
Well, Mickie James is definitely Hall of Fame worthy career she's had, with TNA back in the day and WWE. I mean, she's been there, done that. And what she's doing with NWA right now with Empower, I'm anxious to see how that's going to turn out. And her inviting Deonna Purrazzo to be a part of Empower, that was a good moment for Slammiversary. And also, it was a good moment this past week's Impact. So I'm anxious to see how this is going to shape up.
Yeah, I am too.
All right. We'll wait and see how it turns out and what happens. And on a quick note, we all didn't really catch up on Impact this week, but I did see towards the ending when Jay White came out, the former Bullet Club leader, he came out and made his way to the ring, and he was addressing his appearance at Slammiversary. He claimed he was there for David Finlay. Don Callis, the Good Brothers, and Kenny Omega interrupted him and started an argument bragging rights of the Bullet Club. But the Good Brothers entered the ring and demanded a thank you from White, and then a brawl ensued from there. Chris Bay came down and made the save and joined side with King Switch and clearing out the ring with the approval of fans. So this should be an exciting moment for next week's show. We should all hopefully be able to tune into and check out and continue the storyline. But we'd also like to say a quick thank you and congratulations to Thunder Rosa for being All Elite. She is now All Elite on AEW. You guys have any thoughts on her going there, Deb?
I am super, super ridiculously excited for her.
Yes.
I was half expecting that. I thought that was the most likely possibility. But I am so excited to see her get this, national television stage to really show off what she's got.
Definitely. Tony, any thoughts on that?
Just happy to see her in AEW and happy to see what she does over there and the stories that can continue over there in AEW. And let's go. Thunder Rosa All Elite. Let's go, baby.
All right. So let's continue on to Sunday night when we were talking about, will we get a great show from WWE with Money in the Bank? I believe WWE finally knocked it out of the park with an A+ show with Money in the Bank this past Sunday night. Deb, do you have any thoughts of the overall show before we get into a few matches and a big surprise that showed up at the end of that one?
It was an amazing show. I think it was the most I've loved a WWE pay-per-view in years. I was super excited. Every match just had like an excitement around it.
Yes.
And you can tell that the crowd was just like eating up every moment. They were just hanging on every move. It was awesome. Definitely.
Tony, what about your thoughts from Money in the Bank overall?
Well, overall, I thought the pay-per-view was an amazing pay-per-view. It had that WrestleMania type of feel to it. The whole pay-per-view in general had moments that you would see in a WrestleMania, in my opinion. I think that, the overall crowd reaction for everything, the pops, you saw who was actually over with the crowd and who wasn't. It was a good gauge for the performers to be able to feed off of. And, I thought it was an overall awesome pay-per-view. We were watching it on Zoom, and I think we made the comment throughout the show, like it didn't even seem like it was at the 3 hour mark, and it didn't even seem like it was that long because we enjoyed every moment of it.
It was must-see TV. It was one of those things where you didn't even want to get up during any part of the live show to go to the bathroom, even though Peacock had a hiccup during the start of Roman and Edge's match, which in my opinion was the match of the night to me. But it was so awesome to see a live crowd just feed off of the action in the ring. And it just felt good hearing the oohs and the ahs and the boos and the chants. I don't even know if everybody fully got booed on that show. I think there were some cheers for almost everybody because I think people were just happy to be back in attendance.
Yeah.
But to speak on that night, my favorite match of the night was Edge and Roman. All the matches had my interest, but this one here had something to prove. Edge needed his title back that he never lost in the first place to begin with. Mm-hmm. We all thought he was going to pull it out over Roman. The next thing you know, here comes Seth interfering. Here comes the Usos interfering. And eventually at the end, Roman comes out with the win. Tony, what was your favorite match or matches of the night for yourself?
I really enjoyed the women's Money in the Bank match, just for that being the first match of the night and seeing the pops that Alexa got and Zelina Vega got and just them getting their inches all coming to the ring. And
yes.
Her ring gear was amazing. It was probably one of my matches of the night. Plus, of course, Roman and Edge. That was a good match. The moment that happened at the end of the night.
Deb, how about yourself? What was one of your favorite matches or matches of the night?
So I just want to mention real quick, I agree with Tony about the women's Money in the Bank. Okay. They all of those women looked absolutely fantastic. Their gear was on point. Their makeup and hair was on point. They looked amazing. But can we just talk about how good Alexa Bliss is with her acting? Like, she stood up on the rope in the corner of the ring and just stood there for like throughout everyone else's entrances, and then the beginning of the match, she just stood there. And she is so good. Seriously.
Definitely. I thought she was going to have some superpowers at one point when she was looking up and getting ready to reach for the briefcase. I thought the briefcase was just going to drop down into her hands.
Yes. Yeah. Oh. So also during that match, I don't know if any of you listened to the Busted Open Masters class from last week where they discussed Money in the Bank. But I remember Bully mentioned something about that he doesn't like when someone climbs the ladder and they could, like, there's no one around them and they could easily just run up the ladder and grab the briefcase. But instead they like look down and they're like, oh, let me do a jump move right here. I liked that they didn't really do that. And at the end of the match, they had all of the women just on the ladders kind of fighting with each other. Like it felt more real that way. And then Nikki Ash just kind of like basically running over them to get to the top was pretty cool.
Definitely. My performance for the night goes to, in the men's ladder match, was King Ricochet. The moves Ricochet was displaying, did you guys see that one? What was that one move he ran and he flipped off? Was it off of the ladder and onto the guys on the outside of the ring? He just had me gone. He put on a A+ performance. That's probably one of the top performances I've seen from him since he was in NXT.
Yeah.
You know, what is allowed of him at the main roster, because I know they kind of tone down your character when you come up from NXT to the main roster, which is, you know, it's a given and it's known to happen. But the biggest surprise of the night, in my opinion, was the return of Mr. You Can't See Me, John Cena. As you guys are doing like me, I know you guys popped just as hard as me seeing Cena after a year and a half gone in the business. Deb, what was your thoughts when you when you heard John's music hit and he popped out from behind the curtains?
I'm pretty sure I screamed like a little girl. Did I?
Yes, you did.
So my opinion on John Cena, when he was kind of at the height, like a lot of other people, I was like, oh my God, John Cena, like he needs to go away. It's a given that he's going to win. We knew that, every match he had, he was going to win. It was just no surprise. But towards the end of his last run, and when he started doing movies, I really, really started to love him. He started to show off a lot more of his personality, and I realized he's an awesome dude. He's extremely talented, and I didn't realize until he's been gone that I really missed him. And I'm so excited. I missed John Cena, and I never thought I'd say that.
Yeah, because it was crazy because everybody for years was getting tired of seeing him win fights. But you know what? This is a perfect time to bring him back with the crowds coming back. This is a perfect time to bring him back in the mix. And you know what? He may come down to fighting Roman at SummerSlam and beating him for his, 16th title, or is it 17th? I lost track.
I think it'll be the 17th.
Okay,
we'll have to look that
up. We'll have to look it up. Tony, what are your thoughts from when Cena popped out from behind stage?
Oh man, when that first chord of his music hit, and that pop that he got was amazing. I mean, I don't think it was amazing, and him playing up to the crowd was just definitely happy to see him. And my favorite moment of that night was Chris was kind of behind us on the feed watching Money in the Bank, and when the match was over, she told us all on Zoom, she was like, well, all right guys, well, I'm fixing to go to bed rather, and I said, no Chris, not yet, you gotta stay just a second longer. And when John Cena came out, the way she screamed and hollered, it just made that was awesome to hear her pop like that, and so she did. So that was the moment of the night for me, even more than John Cena. Seeing John Cena was hearing how Chris reacted to it. So it was awesome.
Her reaction reminded me a lot of when Bianca Belair won her title. Yeah. That Chris was behind the feed on us, so I muted myself because I screamed when Bianca won, and I was sitting there waiting for 2 minutes until Chris finally saw it and she screamed. It was the best.
Definitely. And I will add, before we move on to Raw, I did like John Cena's colors for his new apparel. Green, gold, and white. A certain team out here in Oakland carries that, so that had me from the start.
I purchased my first John Cena shirt. It should be here on Monday.
Oh, man, we got to see those pictures, so post those pictures when that comes in, Deb.
I will.
All right, so we will go ahead and we will move on to a quick preview of Monday Night Raw, which they also had their first crowd too. And as you all know, we've been kind of down on Raw for the past several weeks, months, because Raw just hasn't been giving us the quality show we're used to from the flagship. So how do you guys feel after seeing Raw? Did you guys have a good, fresh-minded appearance of the show, or was it just the same old Raw? Even though they had the crowd, was it the same old Raw to you guys? I'll go ahead and start with this one. I got juiced because Cena, he came out and opened the show and he did his thing. Now, they came down to a couple of matches that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. We got the return of Keith Lee. I don't think Keith Lee should have been put in with Lashley. Now, I understand they wanted to give a big match for the crowd, but with Keith Lee being gone for a while, we have to kind of reintroduce him to the crowd. So I would have been okay if they would have given him a couple of squash matches against some mid-card talent to build him up. Even I'm okay with him losing to Lashley, but not in that manner. Let him build himself up. Let him get used to the crowd again, and let him run his way through. That's my opinion with that match. Another match I had was Karrion Kross. They bring him up. Their big mistake, number one, was not having Scarlett out there with him. That was their big downfall. Him losing to Jeff Hardy wasn't an issue the way it happened. It was you're not giving us that full crowd his entrance. Because I don't think he came in during the pandemic, so he didn't have a crowd when he first came in, when we first saw that amazing intro. So give the live crowd that intro. That's what we're here to see. The intro is a big part of the matches as well. And then my final thought on Monday Night Raw before I come to you guys is Nikki ASH. Congratulations to her for using her superpowers of turning in that briefcase and winning the Raw Women's Championship. Just like they said on Busted Open, it's great to see someone pitch their idea to the big man, Vince, get through, and get the green light to go with it. Tony, what are your thoughts from Monday Night Raw? Your goods, your bads, your uglies, and your favorites?
Well, my goods were definitely John Cena and Nikki ASH winning the Raw Women's Championship. And also another good moment was when Riddle came down and Cena and Riddle had their moment in the ring. The bro moment. That was awesome. The bad, I would say, would be the Keith Lee losing to Lashley on his comeback after being gone 6 to 8 months. And then what they did to Cross. Karrion Kross without Scarlett and just dumbed his entrance down, and then losing to Jeff Hardy in that weird way where Jeff Hardy just basically pulled a heel move on Karrion Kross to win. Yeah. Put his feet on the ropes and won. I mean, that to me didn't make any sense, but and I would say overall the fans being there for Raw definitely helped that show. It's just great to hear a crowd back again. Any uglies, I can't really think of any uglies other than what I've already mentioned. But overall, the crowd being there at Raw definitely helps.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Deb, how about your thoughts, your takeaways, your good points from Monday Night Raw?
I think overall it was a great show. And I don't really watch Raw anymore. I stopped watching Raw for the most part last summer, and I've only watched a couple episodes since then, one of them being the Raw after WrestleMania. But I decided to watch Raw because John Cena. And I thought most of the show was really good and very energetic. Same bads as you guys. Karrion Kross was just, it was a huge disappointment. And I feel, when someone moves up from NXT to Raw or SmackDown, you shouldn't, if you truly want them to succeed, you shouldn't take away the things that are special about them. And I think that's what was done. The things that are special about him were taken away. And I don't think that's fair to him as a performer. I don't think that's fair to Scarlett. We heard Karrion Kross on Busted Open talk about how Scarlett's the love of his life and he can't imagine her not by his side. Yeah. And then she's not by his side. So that was a huge disappointment for me. But that being said, Nikki cashing in was awesome. That match with Charlotte was awesome. Yes. I think we are seeing Charlotte doing her best she's ever done right now. She's head and shoulders. So yeah, overall the whole show was great except for those few key things.
Yes, I understand. Yeah, it's tough. Like you say, Charlotte is doing her best work of her career right now, and she is now the savvy veteran on the roster for these women, and she opened the door for Nikki to come through, because I always wanted to see Crazy Nikki from when she came up with NXT into WWE. I always wanted her to keep that character, and then what was it with Alexa Bliss kind of slowly toned her down, and now she got to rebrand and pitch her character. I love the character. Her gimmick is cool. It reminds me of the Hurricane.
Yeah, I like it, and I love Hurricane Helms. He's fantastic. So I don't see anything wrong with what she's doing right now.
Definitely. Definitely. All right. So now we finish up with Raw. So we will go ahead and we will jump into a little bit of NXT before we get into Mr. Shofi's weekly roundup winner. I was on the scale. There's a few new people in NXT to me that I got to get back into, because there was a couple of weeks I didn't get a chance to watch, and I got to get back into it. But there's one guy that I saw on NXT that has my attention. I don't know if you guys remember his match, Odyssey Jones, in the NXT Breakout Tournament.
Mm-hmm.
That dude got my attention. That's a big dude, and he's a little raw right now, and I think with a little polishing, he could be a big force to come with if he comes up the right way in NXT.
Yeah.
Do you guys, other than that, LA Knight, that's hard. That dude right there, LA Knight, Cameron Grimes, you can't get any better. That's must-see TV right there for NXT.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any takeaways? Deb, how about yourself? Do you have any takeaways or any bright points in NXT that got you thinking or popping from Tuesday night?
I think what they're doing with the Breakouts tournament is really interesting, seeing the newly hired talent that's coming up. And I think it's going to be interesting because we're seeing them at the beginning of their training, kind of, and then we're going to see them when they really come to NXT and are featured mainly, and then hopefully move up to a different show. So we'll be able to hopefully see these people as they improve throughout their career. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Tony, how about yourself? Any thoughts from NXT?
The only thought I really had was just how they're handling this. Not only the LA Knight, Cameron Grimes storyline, which is must see, but also the Samoa Joe stuff with Karrion Kross.
Yes.
I'm interested to see how that's playing out and how long they're going to let that, what they're building towards that. So I'm interested to see, because we all know Joe's got a lot to offer us.
Definitely.
So I'm anxious to see how that all plays out.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. So NXT, they're rough around the edges still, and they gotta pick it up, because I know when a ton of talent hit the main roster, they gotta reload. But to me, NXT never fails. They always put on a good show. They always have great storylines. They always have excellent matches. So I know they were going up rough against AEW on Wednesday nights. I think they should have stayed on Wednesday nights, even though it forced us in the same time spot to watch one or the other. But it didn't bother me, because they still got their viewership when you watched one live and just pre-recorded and watched the other one later. And then you got to pick which one you wanted. But even though they're on Tuesday, it's cool, because now you're relaxed. You can actually focus on either show you like to. And I wish more people would watch both shows. Both shows are great. So NXT deserves a little bit more in the rating, especially from WWE fans, because I know a lot of them will sit on the main roster and be like, I'll wait for a Karrion Kross to come up to the main roster before I peek at him. I'll wait for Keith Lee to come up to the main roster to peek at him. But then there's the hardcores like us, when we see them down in NXT, like, oh, this is great. But then when we notice the small changes when they go to the main roster, you kind of like, you're knocked off to the side. Yeah. You guys have any thoughts about talent moving up to the main roster from NXT to SmackDown or Raw? Deb?
I think that it shouldn't. We should try to think of it as a equal brand, but at the same time, we know that WWE is not treating it as an equal brand. But I think that there are certain people that should probably stay in NXT because that's where they fit. But that's not really a good sign to say that you don't want someone to move up to the main roster, such as Adam Cole. Yeah. Adam Cole is NXT as far as I'm concerned. But we know if he went to Raw, it wouldn't be the same. And that's saying something about Raw.
Very true. Very true. It's the same thing with Tommaso Ciampa. He does not want to go to the main roster. He said, I'll retire if you take me out of NXT. So some guys just belong. Tony, your thoughts?
My thought is I hate the fact that, you take a talent and they're over with the crowd in NXT and then they go to the main roster, and you would think that would be a good thing for them. But then you have to worry about, okay, so is it going to be the same version of the character that was in NXT on the main roster, or is it going to be something completely different, like they did with Karrion Kross and his entrance, and like they've done with, with Keith Lee. I mean, Keith Lee was a monster in NXT, and you bring him to main roster, and he's just, it's just not the same version of him. So, when you have to worry about stuff like that, I mean, you shouldn't have to worry about stuff like that, because you want it for a certain character, and you want that character to be the same wherever you see them. But that isn't the case. So that's my only thought about that is the main roster should not be a curse. It should be a promotion, so to speak, and it isn't.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Years ago, that's where you wanted to be. Nobody wanted to be in what was it? What was their old development? FCW, was it?
Yeah, FCW, and they had OVW as well.
OVW, yes. Now, I don't want to say no one didn't want to be there, but when you were coming up in those two brands, everybody wanted to be on the main roster. That was the overall goal. Hey, I want to be on Raw and SmackDown. I want to be seen every week. So this remains to be seen. Raw used to be Raw is still the flagship, but SmackDown is killing it right now. NXT is coming up, into my opinion, second, and then Raw is third for the WWE brand.
Right.
Now, we will go ahead and we will jump into Mr. Shofi's weekly roundup. We will take about a 6-minute break, and we will be back. So if you guys want to go ahead and mute yourself, and I will get the video rolling.
Hey there, Dave LaGreca. It is me, Bash, from This Week in Pro Wrestling History. I just wanted to thank you for having me do This Week in Pro Wrestling History every single Friday between 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. Eastern on your show, Busted Open. Ouch, I've never stretched my arm that long before in my life. On your show, Busted Open on Sirius XM Fight Nation, Channel 156. So thank you so much for the opportunity to do This Week in Pro Wrestling History for the nation. I'm Bash. You can follow me on the Instagram at Bash and Barb, or you could follow me. You could just go to bashandbarb.com. You could do either one. It's your life. I'm not going to tell you what to do. See you later.
Yo, when was the last time that the pro wrestling world was turned upside down in recent history like this week? With rumors up the wazoo, new champions crowned, and WWE rolling loud with the fans, it's time to buck 'em down and discuss who went over and who got over in the week that was. I'm Mr. Shofi, aka the Countdown Kid himself, and let's get down to business. Woohoo! It's just so exciting. After this week, I am definitely hyped for what else is in store. Yes. New champions crowned, as we have a brand new IWGP United States Heavyweight Champion in Lance Archer. What a hell of a match that he had with Jon Moxley. And we have a new Raw Women's Champion in Nikki A.S.H. If copyright law wasn't a thing, I would have LA Knight's music playing like, no, wrong segment, dude. Wrong segment. Now then. Giving Nikki her flowers is Mark Henry saying this is the case of the WWE doing the right thing and rewarding her. And you know what? He's kind of got a point. She put in the work. She came through with a gear and gimmick shift. Just loved the idea. The crowd's eating it up. And you know what? She got the job done, and she got the rocket put right on her. As odd as this may sound, Monday Night Raw was a pretty electric show, despite some wrong instances that we're not really gonna discuss. Anywho, then you get to the highlight reel that was AEW and a show-stopping event on SmackDown, which brings me to my moments of the week.
Ladies and gentlemen, labor number 2, Nick freaking Gage! What? Oh my God! MDK all day, the deathmatch specialist!
And now, you cannot tell me that Paul Heyman is not a fan of Dave Chappelle. If you know, you know. And we also know who got the rose this time around for the weekly winner, according to the Saturday Busted Open show. And the show that rocked the house the most this week was AEW. And that's an undisputed vote. I mean, it was a pretty close draw between Wednesday and Friday, as it normally is, with Tuesday night NXT taking up the rear. But as Ryan stated, SmackDown was one good match short of getting the weekly winner. Now, let's talk some numbers. As of this week, it has been 43 weeks of counting the votes. AEW is still in first place with 28.5 votes. SmackDown in second place with 26 votes. NXT sitting pretty in third with 21 votes. Raw is in fourth with 5 votes, which leaves Impact Wrestling at 3 votes total. And Impact had a pretty decent show. But as the boys commented, once you got the momentum, you got to be able to bring it up. But Impact Wrestling has proven to be the dark horse of professional wrestling. So, we're not going to count them out just yet. It's still anyone's game. But if you ask me, the real weekly winner was Jeff Hardy. And you know why? So you see the writing on the wall. You're way over your head. You're gonna drown in the things that you... What? Shof, come on, we gotta wrap up, dude. Okay, but I'm singing no more words. Yeah, I get it, but run on a tight shift. Right. Come on, let's go. I gotta wrap up here, ladies and gentlemen. At the end of the day, it is pro wrestling, and if I ain't rocking when the show is over, my friend, you just ain't over. I've been Mr. Shofi. I'll see you next time. Enjoy the rest of the show, y'all. Good night, everybody.
All right, as we come back from Mr. Shofi, always a pleasure seeing his weekly roundups. What do you guys think, man? That dude's pure comedy.
Shofi's awesome.
Yeah. Dude, yep.
Dude's cool. All right, so we're going to go ahead and continue on with the show here, and we are going to go into Wednesday night's AEW Fyter Fest Night 2. Tell me what you guys thought. I know where Deb is going. Deb, I know exactly where you're going with this night. But my funny moment from this one was Sting and Orange Cassidy outside the ring. I think that pissed off Darby a little bit, didn't it, Deb?
Maybe, but it was funny.
Oh man, when they're out there kicking and tapping, I was like, oh man, this is great. Sting needs an Academy Award for that, man. He came in, did the job, made the match even much more with their segment on the outside of the ring. Tony, what are your thoughts from AEW this past Wednesday night?
That moment was definitely awesome. Being a longtime fan of Sting, like I have been ever since I've been watching wrestling. That moment with Sting and Orange Cassidy was amazing. It was weird seeing Sting do that, but it was awesome. It was funny, and it just of course it's Darby was not too happy with it, but that that could be planting a seed for the future, maybe. I mean, who knows? And then the other moment of the night was Nick Gage being on, MJF bringing Nick Gage out and going to wrestle Chris Jericho this Wednesday on Dynamite at Fight for the Fallen. And our good friend Front Row, by the way, is going to be there that night at AEW Fight for the Fallen in Charlotte, North Carolina, at Mr. Bojangles Coliseum. But I mean, those were my moments from Wednesday.
All right.
Yeah.
Couple of matches got my attention, especially Moxley versus Archer. They beat the hell out of each other.
Mm-hmm.
This is something we don't see in WWE anymore. I understand WWE is more of the family-friendly, bring your kids to the show type show, which is fine. But 20 years ago, we used to get these matches like Archer and Moxley. I'm at loss for words for this match. They gave me Attitude Era material.
Oh, yeah.
What are your thoughts, Deb? What did you feel when you saw that and they were just beating the shit out of each other with everything they can get their hands on? What was your feel for that match?
Sometimes, those things are a little hard for me to watch because, like Mark Henry, I don't like scary stuff, Dave. But I love it. Like, even though it's a lot of blood and it can be cringy and I cover my eyes sometimes, I love it. I want that in my wrestling. It's awesome.
Yes. And another match that had my attention was Dr. Britt Baker and Nyla Rose. Oh, you couldn't get more action out of those two right there. It's a good time to be alive for wrestling right now. We have so many platforms out there, and all of them are putting on something we can watch. Now, I understand we may gripe. We may not be happy with everything we see, but you know what? We technically have wrestling almost 7 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
And to be able to watch wrestling every day, pick and choose. Now, you may not be able to watch it live, but you can record it. You can watch it later on that night. You can stack yourself, how do they call it? A binge watching session and watch 3-4 shows on a Saturday afternoon for 6, 7, 8 hours if that's what you wanted to do. But Fyter Fest Night 2 was awesome. It was full of action. It has me juiced to see what comes forward in the future for these storytellers, talent, and whatnot. Do you guys have anything else you want to bring in from past Wednesday night before we move on?
Mainly Chavo Guerrero Jr., man.
He
looks good.
Yeah.
He looks really good, and I'm very happy that Andrade has him by his side now.
Definitely. Tony, how about yourself? Anything you're looking forward to out of AEW coming up here in the coming weeks?
Well, I am looking forward to the match with Nick Gage and Jericho coming up this Wednesday. But first, Nick Gage has to get past Matt Cardona tonight on GCW.
Yes,
that is going to be one heck of a match. The pay-per-view tonight on Fight TV starts at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you haven't order so you can check that out, because that is going to be talked about, I'm sure. So if Nick gets past Matt Cardona, then we get to see him next week against Chris Jericho, the Painmaker. That was good to see Chris Jericho bring back the Painmaker character for this Wednesday coming up. And it was also good to see, of course, ratings are ratings, but AEW has gotten over 1 million the past 2 weeks. So that has been very, very good to see.
Yes, definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely. All right, so now we can go ahead and we can jump into a little bit of AEW's Fight for the Fallen that will be coming up. Tony, do you have anything? I haven't really read up on this card. I'm going to touch up on it here real quick, but do you have anything you'd like to speak on for this card coming up soon?
Like I've mentioned, the Nick Gage, Chris Jericho is going to be an interesting match. We have Santana and Ortiz versus FTR for the for the tag team match. We've got a lot of you got Lance Archer versus Hikuleu. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but that was a good moment with Lance Archer at the end of Fyter Fest night number 2 this Wednesday. Them standing off in the ring with each other, and then you've got a couple more matches. I'll let Deb talk about those. The other matches on the card there.
So we have Christian Cage and Jurassic Express, specifically Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy, versus the Hardy family and Helico and Private Party. That's going to be a blast. All of those people are phenomenal. That should be really fun. Then we've got the Elite versus Adam Page and the Dark Order. I am really interested for that one. If you guys don't watch like some of the YouTubes, BTE, Sammy's vlog, even Ethan Page's vlog, you are missing out because the Dark Order is great. If you don't know, the Dark Order is no longer on BTE, so they're free agents, so they're looking for a new vlog. So Ethan Page and Sammy Guevara are trying to recruit them. So I wonder if they will kind of like tie in any of that into the match. But overall, Dark Order and the Elite going at it is going to be pretty cool.
Definitely. Okay, great for the preview of that upcoming show. And that's what, July 28th, I believe? Is that when that is?
It's this, let me look. Yeah, it's the 28th of this coming up week.
Right.
In Charlotte, North Carolina, and we've got Front Row, like I mentioned, Front Row and his wife and Steven are actually going to be at that show. Our own Stephen Wyan are going to be there too. So it's going to be an amazing night. So I'm sure we'll get some good pictures from our crew there.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's always good to have the nation live at shows and sharing with us their experience and being at a AEW event for the first time in over a year and a half. So that'll be great to see, and we'll be looking forward to that from those guys. All right, so we'll move on to our last preview of wrestling for the week. We're going to move into last night's Friday Night SmackDown. Once again, we had Mr. Cena open the show, and who did he straight up go for? He went straight for Roman's jugular, telling him, hey, I want you at SummerSlam. We had to end up waiting the whole show for Mr. Reigns to come out to tell him no.
Nah.
I understand Finn came out. He made his challenge, and I believe we're going to be seeing that next week, I believe, correct?
Yes.
I believe. But I still think we're going to see Cena and Reigns at SummerSlam. What are your guys' thoughts on this mega match main event that they're putting together for SummerSlam? Deb, I'll go ahead and start with you.
I'm excited, man. And I didn't think I would be excited for Cena versus Roman, but I'm excited. And I think Roman is doing a phenomenal job of making the audience hate him. He is just, I think he really found his groove, definitely. And Cena coming back, being the big Hollywood star now, making a return, kind of sounds familiar.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting. And can we just talk about Paul Heyman? Like, Shofi mentioned that on his segment.
Oh, him walking off.
Was dying.
Yes.
Literally. Yes, Chad, I said literally. I was dying. That was great. That was great. Him walking off. And did you guys just see Cena's face
as Heyman went backstage, Cena was just, he looked like he was stunned and dumbfounded, like, what the hell just happened? That's why they say,
just happened?
Yeah, that's why they say Paul Heyman has one of the best mouthpieces in the history of professional wrestling, hands down. Tony, what are your thoughts?
Well, okay, so when John Cena and Roman Reigns first interacted a few years back at face-off promo in the ring, Cena had Roman for lunch, and he chewed him up and spit him out during that promo. This time, we're getting a different Roman and a more confident Roman, and I think this time we're going to see what they'll bring to the table. But I think this time around, it's going to be exciting to see how this all plays out.
Definitely. Now, I want to bring another point from SmackDown to your guys' attentions, and I want to know if you guys caught this too. The Angelo Dawkins versus Chad Gable match and the Bianca Belair versus Carmella. They did that at, what was it, the Hard Rock Casino out there in Florida, in Tampa Bay?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The crowd reaction during those two matches had me baffled. I've been hearing people on social media saying they should have had bigger superstar names, but you can't go any hotter than with Bianca Belair right now. She should have brought a pop, but I watched the crowd during their match. They had a good match, but the crowd was not moved at all. They were just sitting there looking. A lot of people were on their phones. A lot of people were just looking around. A lot of people were talking to each other. I didn't see many people really focusing on the match because I don't think they were trying to interact music and wrestling. I think that was what was it, a Rick Ross show, was it?
It was a
Walla,
festival.
Walla.
Festival, okay.
It was a festival,
Walla.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, for
Wale.
Wale. Okay, because he came out with the Street Profits, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's just, it looked like not many people there really watched wrestling because it wasn't the typical
Probably
crowd
not.
you would see. Did you guys notice the reaction from the crowd and how dead it kind of looked?
I did. Yeah. They were probably not all wrestling fans, but at the same time, you got to think about how big of a moment it is that WWE is having a match on stage at a major music festival.
Yes.
Even if, it was in front of a crowd that may not have really been wrestling fans, that's pretty big.
True. That also could open the door. Someone there may not really have been interested in wrestling. You finally got to see a couple of live matches, and maybe that persuades them to turn on the TV here and there just to check it out and say, you know what, let me check wrestling out for the actual first time and focus on what's really going on. Tony, how about your thoughts?
My thoughts pretty much the same. It's good for the WWE to be being exposed at a music festival, but on the other hand, you have the crowd there that are there for the music and not the wrestling. So it kind of, that's probably why you had you didn't have the reactions that you would expect for a big crowd, because they just, some of them may not watch wrestling at all, and it kind of reminiscent of back in the day when WCW did nitros at the theme park, Universal Studios. Some of the people there in that crowd were probably not wrestling fans. They were just there because it was there, And same thing happened with the other day with NXT. When they were doing their shows and they had not reactions from the crowd there, they had mentioned on Busted Open about how possibly some of those fans weren't actual fans of wrestling. So that's why you're getting the non-reaction from the crowd. But I think overall it'll be a good experience for people like you said, HiJacker, that might have saw that and be like, hey, I'm going to check this out. I'm going to go home and tune in on SmackDown or Raw or even AEW and see what it's all about. So it's a win-win.
Yeah, definitely. Also, we had the debut of Toni Storm, which they put her in the ring against Zelina Vega, which kind of baffled me because Zelina just returned. Tony's just coming up, and it's like you put two people that have a following up against each other in the first match. It's kind of like how I was saying Keith Lee versus Bobby Lashley. Why would you put these two caliber stars in a first debut match for Storm on the main roster. Do you guys have any thoughts on seeing Toni Storm's first match on SmackDown last night? Tony?
Definitely Toni Storm. It's good to see Toni Storm. She came up with the vignettes, leading into her return Friday on the main roster. It was good to see her on the main roster. And I didn't really get a chance to watch the match per se, but what I heard, the match was a really good match. She won. Anxious to see how if they keep her character similar to the way it was on NXT, or are they going to change it also?
Yeah, that's true. Deb, you have any personal opinions about Toni Storm's debut versus Zelina Vega?
I like it. I personally think that Toni Storm is a talent that could survive like a character change, like would happen going from NXT to the main roster. She has a huge following. Yeah. We know who she is. I think she's one of the people that even if her character was tweaked a little bit, it'll be okay. And her going against Zelina Vega, they're both incredibly talented. I'm glad to see Zelina back. I'm glad to see her wrestling again.
Very true. And I'll go into my last point from SmackDown. Then I'll go to you guys if you guys have anything you want to bring up that I didn't touch on for SmackDown. How cool and obnoxious at the same time is Seth Rollins, from his suits to his laugh?
Oh, Deb? Well, we know how I feel about Seth Rollins.
Now, do you prefer Seth with all black hair, or did you like the blonde streak?
Oh, I like the blonde streak. I want him to bring the blonde back, man. Come on. But the suits, he's got that drip. I don't care if anybody thinks that the patterns are too bright or flashy or whatever. He can pull it off. It's Seth freaking Rollins.
Oh, yeah. That guy is becoming a legend in his own. Tony, how about yourself? What are your thoughts on Seth Rollins with Edge coming up here?
Oh, it'll be interesting to see Edge and Seth Rollins and what they'll bring. I like how they're making reference to a few years back when they had their last interaction together in the ring. Where John Cena brought back the Authority, and Seth still went after Edge. So it'll be interesting to see what they bring to the table now. And Seth Rollins is doing a very good job of being hated and being annoying. That laugh is just annoying. Is all get out.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Do you guys have any last words for SmackDown last night that we may not have covered so far? Deb, do you have anything, or are you good?
Just kind of overall, it was pretty good. SmackDown's been doing a great job lately. I enjoy what they're bringing to the table, and I'm interested to see where things go from here.
Definitely. Tony, how about yourself?
I'll second that. SmackDown was interesting. It was interesting to see. It's also interesting to see what's happening with Baron Corbin. I made the comment during the Zoom of I'm interesting to see how this story is going to play out. Who's going to come back, or who's going to come into the story to be the Apollo Creed to Baron's Rocky from Rocky 3, where Rocky 3 was downtrodden and he lost his match to Clubber Lang, and Apollo helped come in and train Rocky back up and to lift him up. So I'm wondering who's going to be the Apollo Creed in this story.
Well, as you see, KO offered him some money and he got jacked. So I have a feeling KO may step in to help him out, and I have a feeling we may see the Lone Wolf return. That's my personal opinion. I think the Lone Wolf may return, or he may just have to reinvent himself into another character. So we will wait and see what happens there. So in my opinion, SmackDown was another great show. It's certainly top Raw's rating for myself this week, and SmackDown has for the past several months. And look, Roman is king of WWE right now. Roman is king, and now you're adding in John Cena to the mix. This is must-see TV for WWE with this group right here.
I agree.
Absolutely.
All right, so we'll go ahead and we'll round it up to our last subject of the show, music from the week. Everybody, what did you listen to? What's been your choice of music for this past week? Tony, since this was your topic you'd like to bring in, I'm going to go ahead and start with you, my man. What was your music interest of the week? What got you through your week this past week?
Well, as y'all know, the greatest truck driver of all time likes to, after Busted Open goes off the air, of course, he likes to play music from his playlist on his phone. This past week, I dabbled in a little bit of Volbeat, and I also dabbled into a little bit of Jason Aldean. And I even sent a song from Jason Aldean to Debhausen, and of course she didn't like it because she's not a country person. But you can't please everybody. So
yeah,
those were my two from the week.
Yeah. Deb, how about yourself?
Well, I'll first talk about a couple of the podcasts I listened to this week because I follow a lot of wrestling podcasts on Spotify. When Busted Open goes off the air, I'll see what new episodes there are. The main thing that I would recommend that everybody listens to is the new episode of Oral Sessions, Renee's podcast, but she's still out on maternity leave for a little bit. So Chelsea Green was guest hosting and she was interviewing Matt Cardona. So it was pretty funny and interesting to see an engaged couple with one interviewing the other. And she said she literally had to Google him and read up about him to prepare for the interview. So that was great. But in the music world, the last few days I have at work after Busted Open is over, I've actually been putting on Earth, Wind, and Fire radio on Spotify. And let me tell you, I know, yeah, right? Yeah. But let me tell you, like, that music relaxes your head. So if you ever are in a spot where you need to just be chilled down a little bit, put on some Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Oh, definitely. I highly agree. Earth, Wind, and Fire is a way to go to mellow the mood, to relax from a rough day, a rough week. I got you on that one, Deb. That's a definite. My choices for this week was, I always ride with my boy, Tupac. I'm always listening to Pac. People look at me like I'm crazy, say, man, haven't you gotten enough? But that's just my boy. That's what I like to listen to. But I did pay homage this past week to a legend that we lost last week in Biz Markie. I played a few of his songs that I was a fan of. I even indulged in deeper to some of his music that I really haven't got a chance to listen to, or I may not have heard for some time. This guy was a genius. This guy knew how to capture your attention in music videos as well as a song, Pickin' Boogers. That gets your attention. Just a Friend. That music video, you can watch that music video over and over and over again. So I listened to my boy Pac and I listened to Biz Markie this past week, and those two got me through. And sorry we lost a legend in Biz Markie a few days ago last week. Pray his family, his friends are doing well, and everything will work out for the best for the services. And that's what we got. Anybody else got anything else for music before we close out? We good?
I do want to mention, so I've been listening to, if anyone hasn't heard, the Foo Fighters have created themselves an alter ego called the DGs, where they sing Bee Gees music. Fantastic. Highly recommend it. It'll put you in a good mood. Also along those lines of stuff that'll put you in a good mood, Chris. I recommended to Tony this week that he listened to some Lil Dicky, and he's starting to enjoy it. So music recommendations
freestyle that he had on the Sway. Yeah, that freestyle he had a few years back. I don't know how long ago it was. The video said 2 years ago or whatever, but it was on Sway on Sirius XM. He did that freestyle, that 5-minute freestyle. And
So
the guy is just, I don't know how, first of all, I don't know how you can do that. Just put a beat on and just freestyle. You have to be very creative to do that, and in my opinion, and just the things he was putting together and rhyming and being funny while he did it. I mean, he's just amazing. So
Kareem
thanks,
Abdul. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah. No, freestyling is tough. I tried getting into it years ago before I got into producing beats, because I've always had friends around, and you try your best, you know, when you're doing something, your friends are kind of laughing at you and you're like, what the hell? They're like, dude, you don't even know what you're doing. It's like, man, I'm just trying to rhyme until you learn you got bars and you keep going. So for freestyle, I have a few. If you ever heard of Mr. Fab from out here in Oakland, he's a freestyle king of Oakland. We have Little Flip, used to be the freestyle king out there in Houston, Texas. And we have Locksmith from the front line that he's still in the game. Locksmith is another rapper from Richmond, California that is a heavy hitter in the freestyle game. Political type rapper. Like if you guys ever heard of, I'm drawing a blank on his name, Technical something, not Tech 9 or Technique. Have you guys heard of Technique?
Oh, okay. Nah.
He spits that political underground, tells you how the government is, and they try to silence him on because they don't want what he knows out. Mm-hmm. So there we go for the music. There's some good stuff right there, everybody said, for the week. And it looks like we're about to wrap up the show, folks. So as for myself, I am HiJacker Mike. You can reach out to me on Twitter at Mr. Mac, MISTAMACC. Deb, where can everybody find you at?
I am, where is it? That's So Debonair.
There it is.
AKA Debhausen, AKA Winehausen. That's my Twitter. And then on Instagram, I believe I am truth_resist_simplicity. It's an old name. I don't have time to go into the story behind it, but I'm keeping it.
Tony, how about yourself? Where can the nation reach out to you, my man?
You can find me right there at Tony Justice AJFA, and the AJFA is self-explanatory for all you Metallica fans out there. So on Instagram at the handle at Tony Justice AJFA and Justice for All.
All right. Deb, you want to go ahead and tell everybody where they could follow us at on social media for the Nation's Corner?
So we are the Nation's Corner on Twitter at the Nation's Corner, and on Facebook and Instagram at the Nation's Corner. So find us there, like, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff.
Definitely. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for joining us this week on the Nation's Corner. You guys have a great week, and we will see you next time. Have a good weekend, y'all.